thing from vacation and I've been home a week.
It all worked out.
All
So I'm
right,
still in my schedule for this week.
are you ready? So, welcome. At least we have folks sitting out there to see us today. Thank you, thanks for coming. We got a few business things to take care of, and then most of what we want to do is really have a conversation with you all to get some thoughts and ideas, so we can then sit down and have some conversations with our commission to start or kind of help us organize going out of 2024 into 2025. Just a little, kind of know where we are. We've met with the commissioners, the county council, and with BCDC already. And we felt that since you all are representative of the three largest cities in the county, we all thought it was very, very important to be heard from you also. We have limited resources. We want to make sure that we're using them correctly. So let us get through a few short things here, and then we'll go from there. You all got the agenda. I would like to add a couple of things to the agenda, if that's okay. One of them is just more of an update. We did have our Indiana audit, so I'm going to add that as item number 4. And then I'm going to add an item number 8. There was a request for funding to stripe the road at Webb Wheel, Wapaka, so I'll add that as item number 8. So if I get a motion to approve the agenda as updated.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
I second it.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, no. You all got the minutes from the last meeting. Unless there's a change or correction, entertain a motion to accept those.
I'll make that motion.
Got a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
TIF balances real quick. The courthouse TIF, $284,189.52. Wapaka, which is our only active TIF now, is $358,214.81. We did have some bond payments, I think, went out in July on that one. Webb Wheel, $328,236.34, and Riverview West, $4,290.18. So there we go. This is more as much as information. If you have questions, just let me know. The county went through an Indiana state audit. And most of the groups, I guess we'll call them groups, committees that deal with county money were actually called in, us being one of them. There was no findings on our behalf. A couple changes that we have to make is we submit invoices to the auditor's office. Basically, there's a form that we have to fill out so they can do the invoice. They were really pretty complimentary of how we kept our minutes in order and followed through with the things that we discussed in the meeting. So I thought that was really good. So, Bill, you said you had something on Forest Canton?
Well, I wasn't at the last meeting. You know, we have the paperwork done on, I think, 4 of them. And we've got to get some paperwork done on the other 2, and I plan on trying to get that done this week.
Okay.
And as far as everything else.
You want to put new signs, lot signs, right?
Yeah, I would like to put some new signs up just with the construction, the wind. And so I would like to go out there and maybe put a little bit sturdier stakes so they're not as prone to be blown away.
You have a problem with that, David?
I wanted to go back to the TIF balances.
Okay.
There was no change in that from the last meeting.
Should have. The only one that there could have been, depending on when they wrote the check for the lawn service, it should have been $720. I think that's right, or $700 possible. I don't know when they wrote his last check from mowing grass. That'd be the only one that'd be a balance change.
Okay.
You are correct, David.
Just checking.
Yeah, the only one that you'll see any increase in will be Wapaka now. Whenever property taxes come in this fall. And in essence, that's a wash through at this point. So we're paying the bonds anyway. And that goes out in 2034. 2027, 2028, somewhere in there. So are you okay? You want to make a motion to get some more signs?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Here we go. So the order I had, totally at random, by the way. Smokey?
Yeah.
You want to go first? So you received my email, right?
I probably did.
Okay.
I probably didn't read it. I'm being honest.
Well, I'm crushed, but that's okay.
Because I'm here, and I'm here for the city of Hamilton,
Right,
and I'm reading the portion of the email that you sent to Jane.
which is the same email.
And as I'm seeing, during the past few years, Perry County Redevelopment Commission has defined its role in Perry County to create positive growth. So I would ask you, if I may, in the last few years, where has that affected county?
Well, that's the question. So what we've tried to do from a county standpoint, and really initially now 3 years ago, is that about right, when we started the housing, really kind of got on the housing, was to help our industry from that angle first, because they were saying we needed housing because we need people, so and so and so forth. So we have not done anything direct with Hamilton, Troy, or Tell City, quite frankly.
Okay.
We've done it more as looking at it from the picture of the county. And then in December of last year, so a little longer than a year ago, we started having the discussion at our meetings that says, okay, we need to kind of really look at a little bit longer, more comprehensive plan for the county from a development standpoint. So we called it positive growth, because really I think that's what it boils down to. And we've been trying to work through, the first idea was to get everybody in the same room. Well, that didn't go so good. So then we invited, the middle of the year here, we invited the county council, the county commissioners, and PCDC. And they're basically, we asked them the same questions. You know, what do you see in your part of the world? Because everybody's world's different. What do you see that something that we can work on that we can enhance the entire county? So that's where we are. It kind of broke down into those 4 categories. Housing, which seemed to be at the top of the list for a long time. And I'll give you a little update on housing if you'd like. So housing right now from a county level, we've seen some movement. We have seen some movement, some private, some public, okay? So the others we really haven't been too terribly involved with at this point, but we need to know if we need to be.
Right.
So to answer your question, nothing direct with Camden at this point.
Okay. No, and as I said, it's just me catching up.
Correct. Now, the last activity we did have with Hamilton was 3 years ago, David, when we had the request on the
Can claim.
Clay property from the mayor at the time, and they wanted that property back,
Yes,
and we complied.
yes, absolutely.
And I'm assuming that was good.
Oh, no, great, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, because now you're a different mayor than then, so,
That's part of my conversation. See,
yeah.
If,
So,
if you're asking me development, if you're asking me support, is there something that we need to deal with in Hamilton? It's 30 acres of cane club.
okay, so here we go. Yep.
And I continue to work with IDEM on cleanup down there, and we're in good shape as far as it is concerned. I'm going to be looking forward and working with developers and developers at whatever level possible. Okay.
So I guess I'll back up a little bit. So your vision of the Can Clay property, we'll just call it that, because that's kind of your big piece, right?
It has to be.
Yeah.
It means
So have you all as a community kind of worked through kind of really what you think you want to see or would like to see?
Well, there was a study prior to my coming back to the city, and I have the report from that as to what 6 people throughout the nation came together, put the thing, and said, this is what we envisioned this would look like. Great. Except that kind of money's never going to pour into that city. Great.
Yeah, the number one obstacle,
It may
right?
be a parcel issue, parceling that property out, if we have an opportunity. I think housing could be a part of that. And that's the property probably closest to Brazil Street, which is across from the Can-Do Apartments. The infrastructure is there for building. If we don't take the concrete off of that, we don't have to deal with IDEM. So we could feasibly put more housing down in that end of the property, and having people there would simply generate more activity within the city for what we are placing in now. as you see the new shops that are opening up, and people are coming back to Hamilton, to make, a living, long-term, I hope. It's growing. It has since January. But King Clay, yes, here's what I'd like to do, if you want to hear the truth. What I'd like to be able to do is buy that cotton mill from Lincoln Hills Development, build them enough housing over there on the King Clay property to put the people that they leave empty apartments for, and turn that commercial up to the cotton mill.
Nick, so you're thinking the cotton mill commercial.
Yes, absolutely. I'm saying, they have not filled that cotton mill since they've opened. God love them, if they try. So let us build enough units to fill what they do have. Set them at a different site, let us have that cotton mill, put something commercial there that draws a tax, a base that we can work off of in the city. That is long-term. So, yeah, do we have a plan? It's a plan that I work on it today. Is it feasible? At this point, I don't know. I don't know.
So you,
What help could be involved there by whomever, I would accept any and all.
so you, on the cleanup, you're in the process of working through
Yeah,
that, correct?
The cleanup is, I'm just about to take out the last bit of contamination. I have one building, I've already got the people come down, they're going to tear it down, some more coming out in November. That's the last piece of contamination. Brian Clinton is walking through that, does a great job, He put me on for this company, they're gonna haul it out of here, they know where to take it. It's a $200,000 cost to the city. Well, to the monies against King Clay. But when it's gone, that entire roughly 25 acres from the kilns down, it's ready to work. It's ready to be worked. Now, that leaves me the production building up there all the way to the river. We still own the property all the way to the river's bank for development. That's maybe a phase two. It could be.
On the other side of the flood wall or on the,
I've got the corporate headquarters up there.
so on the, you're talking about the dry side now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, see, so everything from King Clay, we could break it out into parcels. But if there is a big move at hand for the city of Camden, it lies within the properties that we could perhaps do some trading with to make it good for all that's concerned. I've not talked to anybody from Lincoln Hills Development. I've talked to no one. I brought this to the table here to say, if you want to ask me what I'm looking at long-term, that's the biggest thing we've done. And I don't know that we're capable or what could be eligible to do that, depending on what Lincoln Hills Development should want to do. Taking that out of the equation, then it probably is going to come back on an outside development corporation of some sort or individual that knows that the infrastructure is there, it's ready for any kind of development, be it commercial, be it private. I mean, have possibilities there.
So from a commercial standpoint, does the city in itself, and I don't know the answer to this, does the city in itself have the infrastructure to handle
Yeah.
sewer, water, electric, the whole 9 yards?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask you
It's a
something?
better site. It's a better site after the fact that King Clay is gone.
Okay.
Have you ever considered, or anyone in the city considered marketing that property as a giveaway to have a tax base built on it? Give it away. Bring us a
The answer,
50-person factory and we'll give you the property. We'll hook the utilities up.
well, that has not even came to light. Absolutely not. No. And the reason I say
Would you
that,
consider that if you were working with somebody in the development?
yes, I think that somebody might bring that to the table. What I know is we're sitting there, non-taxable property, bringing zero.
Mhm.
And it's about putting butts on the ground to bring that tax base back. And I haven't, it's incumbent upon me to put something together, short-term and long-term. If that means parceling that out, that portion that you're speaking
To
of,
get development.
bam, right there at that corner to the river, yeah, it's yours. You put it back on the map. We lose nothing. We have to lose.
No, you have nothing, you gain,
That's a fact.
you gain.
That's an absolute fact. And I am saying that my thoughts are open to anyone who will come to me with a good thought that's positive and forward thinking. If it means, give me that, here's what I got, I'll put it together and show you where we'll be at in 20 years. That's the individual I'm waiting on. So, yeah, and it, of course, the legal side of that as well. But I had transformers over there near that building that had to go, and I didn't even pay back, and they just recorder some sites over there. For whatever reason, it's idea. We just followed, don't want to make them mad. So we followed those instructions. Brian came back and did just that. Again, nothing up there. So we're really, really good shape on the I-10 side. Just shy of that one building that I could take that and run with it. I try to offer up to some of the businesses across the river that need storage space, temporary, but at least it's generating some income on the property. But that is my long term. I mean, you know, shy of that, the others was pretty basic from what we did every day, and that is.
So what is your basics?
Say again?
What is the basics that you say? It's pretty basic. I think I interrupted you, but you said the rest of it's pretty basic.
Well, as I would bring to the board,
Yes.
what are our needs up there? You know, it's the building decay that we have to work with. It's extending perhaps the city limits to extend our tax base. It's broadband that we don't have. And without having that high speed, it's hammered. For anyone who would want to relocate any type of business, and right now, we don't have, other than, you know, we're expanding best chairs up there. They're building on, bringing up new equipment to operate with. But we've got to have that kind of access to make anything doable in that city. We've got those mom and pop shops that are coming back. I can name you 3 real quick that have shown up since the first of the year and have done well. And that's fine, I'm glad that they're doing well. But if there's anything larger past that, then it's us rebuilding what we've got there, as you said, to house them. And we all know what kind of housing we have up there in Pendleton to Brent. And we fight that, I fight it every day. I get phone calls every day on the properties up there. And it's uncalled for. That's another story. But we want to do something about it. The River Road project, I worked with Barbara on that years ago when I was there. We almost brought that to completion in 3 phases that we connected that entire road back there from our city to Tell City, just to bring people down further upriver, actually, in our world, further upriver, what we may have to offer up there. There's that entire riverfront right now. I've got the river park there. I was hoping we would have rail up there. That would have been the end of the rail. That was the intent. And that rail was to run from Canada all the way to French Lick for excursion trips. Didn't happen. I get it. But it doesn't say it can't happen. You know, I don't believe in you can't. I believe in let's go do it. So I put that on this list. But if there's an 800-pound gorilla in the city of Canton, it's at 30 acres of property that we've got to do something with. Otherwise, you're going to watch trees grow back in. And I hate that I take so much time.
Oh, no, you're fine, you're fine.
But I just want to make my point that I know that there's some good positive things that could come out of that property. We just don't want to move so fast that we miss the right opportunity. And this may not happen on my watch. I really don't expect it to happen. But let me get it started. And let somebody carry it on. Who gets the credit? Who cares? I don't.
Well, in essence, that's why we're here now.
Yeah,
That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah,
Because this
I think
board-
that's the starting point.
This board here is a 1-year appointed board.
That's it. Exactly.
So we're just trying to set the stage going forward. So I think we've created over the last couple of years, because we stayed together for 3 years or 4 years now, that we can continue the process.
Yeah, it's just that what I didn't have was, what was this board last year and the year before and the year before in support of panel? If I didn't ask, I wouldn't be doing my job.
Right.
That is my first question. What has happened? I think if anybody travels up to Pendleton, stay on 7th Street, because I can't speak for Washington. It's never going to be any more than what it is. I live in reality. But 7th Street, that's where, that's our money street these days.
That's the main drag?
That's the
That's
main
7th.
Right. Yeah. Highway 66 going to Rocky Point. Every opportunity to make something good happen up there. That's a fact. And we're looking forward to doing just that. Absolutely. So whatever you can bring back to the city of Camden through your thoughts, through your actions, through your connections, you'll never hear the word no come out of my office. It just ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. I may not get the first phone call back to you, but I'll get that.
We're pretty diligent to make sure that happens. Does anybody else have any questions for Smokey?
What is the issue with broadband? Why can't we get anything
I don't know. the answer.
going
Well,
there?
I went up to Spencer County.
PSC.
Yes, it's talked to them about just that. And here's our issue, is somewhere, one of our mayors took on a 99-year lease, gave away our internet. And the state of Indiana through broadband says that if you've got internet at this time, that's what you got. And I'm going, really, let me scratch my head a minute here, because that was 1970. You know, this is 21st century, why are you telling me this? But again, you're right,
Hey, that was pre-cable TV.
it was, that's right, that's when he took it, to get cable TV. That's the only reason he took it. And there is a region manager down in Atlanta for that company, and they're going, hey, what you got? It's their idea going,
So is it Comcast?
yeah, Comcast, yeah. You know,
There's no way you can get out of that?
well, see, all the thing Comcast is doing, they're leasing a few telephone poles. They own the contract, and all they're doing is paying us a stipend for the telephone poles that they still have equipment connected to. And can we get out of it? No one's told we can. But it comes back to, look, I get it, we've got it, but you don't understand what it is we've got here. And it's taking us nowhere for what the demand is. And we can't go over to Kentucky and ask for help from the Commonwealth as we sit on this side of that river bank. It is what Indianapolis sees fit to send to our neck of the woods, which ain't much.
They're not updating
Nothing,
anything.
nothing.
I mean, cell service is another one I know.
So that is a big step for us in that city. And the high-speed internet that's up at Coldsport, I don't have it in my house. Nowhere near my house. That's not, I don't get that. So you know, I don't understand, and I just got another detail about more money pumped into this broadband program. Well, I can't touch it because I'm not, I think it was for cities of 50,000, if I read it right. Come on, guys, we are people who need it. So, you know. And here's what I know. If you don't believe this, Southern Indiana ends at Bloomington. What we did is what we had to go dig for. And it's very little at the end of the day, I gotta say.
I
Very
agree,
little.
which is why we're trying to be as efficient as we can with every dollar we got.
That's why I'm sitting here going, please, guys.
Yeah.
Give us that opportunity. I got good people up there. They work hard. They truly love living there. Well, they wouldn't put their heads down there every night. They stay. And we just need an opportunity, one, to survive, and two, just a little bit of help to grow to something. If we are a front door to this county and a front door to the state of Indiana, I got a bridge up there to prove it. And there's a lot of people that roll through that city. I got half of them rolling at Walmart. And those people, we've got to find what it is to make them stop before they cross the bridge. That's what we're looking for. Something to get them to stop before they go back across that bridge. Here's an idea. How about a corridor? How about that 237 corridor from that bridge out to the hospital? I argued that 12 years ago. I've seen it time and again. You build a hospital, and the companies, the industries that build within a 2-mile radius of that, within or somewhere, one direction or another. I haven't seen it go up 237. You should be. And you can't tell me it's the geographics of it, because we got engineers to fix that. I'm a firm believer. Again, I apologize.
No problem.
I'm just getting a little carried away on what I know.
It's the stuff we want to hear.
You
It's what we need to
we
hear.
we shouldn't have to tolerate this year after year after year after year. 12 years later, I'm looking at the same corridor that I looked at when I left the mayor's seat the first time. And something should have been developed just like that corner coming off the bridge. It sits there naked right now. It's 12 years and nothing's up there?
Anything
I'm
else?
done, guys.
Thank you, Smokey.
Absolutely.
You know, like I said, we are, as a commission, trying to just put all this together too. So one thing we will ask is, as time goes on, we'll probably have you come back to see how we're doing and what you're doing.
I'll be right here.
If things come up that you see, that you say, hey, this is something we can help you with, all you gotta do is let us know.
Good.
Because this is a volunteer group too, so we just do what we can do with the time that we have.
Man, my office isn't that far away, anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime you come.
You've got my information, so,
Want us coffee? I'm
so far I'm on till January 1, so we'll see what happens.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, I've lived that.
Chris, I got you next. Tell City of Tell City.
I'm gonna come up there so you can hear me, and anybody watching live stream or whatever.
Oh, sure.
As well.
Well, you're not in the picture yet, so
Oh,
you gotta come this way.
just haven't zoomed in.
There you go.
Well, I'm just gonna kind of start real quick. John, you served on our comprehensive plan. I think Aaron, you did too, right? And that's all that's in here, but we updated our comprehensive plan back in 2022. It was a little bit of a challenge because COVID was kind of still, planning stage, but they did a great job, I think. It hadn't been updated since around 2012 or something like that, I think, or maybe even later than that. But they have like 13 things they kind of outlined in here for goals and objectives. And I'm not going into all of them, but land use was one of them, which ties into all these in essence. Government, spending and try to get, your finances, but placemaking, economic development, housing, transportation. Agriculture is mentioned in that, but it's not really, that would be more county. There's a small amount of agriculture in city limits, but not really any actually. Parks and recreation, broadband, and Tell City wise, our internet service is pretty reliable, pretty good. And then some hazard mitigation, which I'll kind of go into that in a minute. But have you ever seen a copy of this, or I can email you a digital copy if you want. We didn't print really any copies because they're not cheap, and we're trying to save money a little bit when we can. And it's one of those in here, but I'll email that to you all, or I think I got all yours emails, so I'll send it to you, or at least I'll get it to Chris and she can email it to the full board.
If she sends it to me, I can forward it.
Okay. But I wrote down a few things. So in your email, you talk about housing, employment, infrastructure, entertainment. Those can go in any order really, but infrastructure probably is your key to most of these, because you don't have good infrastructure, you can't do a lot of housing, you can't do employment then, and there's not much entertainment you can do. So we've been working really hard in the last few years with infrastructure, replacing water lines, improving our roads, improving our wastewater, stormwater, et cetera. A big one was for us was the infrastructure, and the water is, we just received a $2.5 million forgivable loan grant, the state revolving loan to replace water lines from the meter into people's homes.
This is the lead/steel bait.
Yeah, part of the lead galvanized pipe abatement. So 254 residents will be having those replaced. That's just the first round. This is a kind of a federal mandate.
So I'm going to kind of back you up a little bit. Kind of go more towards what we think we can do for you.
Right. We'll just set the stage first. But anyway, so we talk about housing. Infrastructure is important, and that's where I was going with that. I printed out just a few copies here of some sites that are available. I'm just going to give these to you.
Housing.
Yes, well, it could be entertainment, it could be housing, it could be a lot of things, but mainly these two copies I'm going to give you all focus on housing. And I'll kind of go over these with each of you. And it's no secret on these sites, really, so I'm not going to get anybody in trouble by speaking out of terms. The first one, you'll see there's 3 boxes on it, different colors. There's an orange, a blue, and a red. This is up near the old Swiss plywood. And where that blue box is, we currently have a proposal. They're seeking tax credits. We'll know November 21st if they get those for a 4-story, 40-unit apartment complex there, $14 million or so investment. What's not in the box next to that's going to be for parking at this time. But the red one and the orange one are the two other important ones. It's not committed to anything at this time. They're currently owned by the Port Authority. They obtained those when they bought the Swiss plywood building and then some houses that they went and tore down there in the orange one. Those, from my understanding, the port was willing to sell those, but we need to have a good solid plan of what's going to go there before they would release those, I think. And housing would probably be the best suited for those, either townhomes, apartments, single-family homes, smaller homes. And what I want to share, you all probably remember Tony Papano back in the day. They did a neighborhood stabilization program where they had 10 designs done like an AutoCAD through Universal Design, and I was able to get kind of a rough copy of their blueprints of all 10 different houses that could fit on a 40 by 140 lot, which is pretty much the size of the lots around town. Some are 60, but a lot of them are 40. And that was part of the challenge, is to have a home that would fit on there. And so anybody, if we would have available lots throughout the city that we could, either through like clearance, tearing something down, we would have plans available that somebody could actually drive by and see the home. Oh, I like that. That looks great. I love the building. Most all the ones that Tony had built with that program had basements. You can eliminate these basements and save a significant amount of money. But, a lot of your money when you go to build a house is your plans. And these are free. Anybody wants them. So that was part of the deal on that. So that makes, when you're trying to get affordable housing, every, dime counts. So those are be available. But I'd like to see if the redevelopment could help with these two pieces of property in the Swiss Plywood District. John's on the Fort board. I think multifamily housing would probably be better suited where the red box is. The orange box, probably just your single family homes, 2-3 bedroom, depends. Maybe even some 1 bedrooms. Because it just depends on how you divide up some of those lots, what you can fit on them. The orange one, you can see there's some shorter, smaller lots there that face 9th Street, and there's some longer ones that face Gutenberg there. And there's some other properties. I noticed there was one single wide trailer up there, had a for sale sign out front of it the other day on Gutenberg and 10th. Don't know how much they want for it, but and there's probably others available. So I'd love to have your all's help with that. Kind of creating a request for proposals for a developer to come in and potentially build them and partner with the port as far as, the sale of it or however that works. The next piece of paper is outside that area entirely. If you're familiar with, it's Highway 66 is the red line on top by McDonald's. That's right. You go up there on the drive there where Accent, StarTech used to have a parking lot. That bottom pad there, not the upper pad, is owned by Goodwill. They got that when they bought that shopping complex there.
285.1.
286.1 or 5, whatever. It's the red outline I kind of drew around, a little red box. Goodwill is willing to sell that. They've told me multiple times. That would make an excellent site for some apartments up in that area. I don't have a price. I didn't ask them, but it would make an excellent site. And again, we could do some requests for proposals on that one. You might have a developer willing to come up there and build multifamily housing. And that's in a different area of town. I'm trying to spread this out a little bit. So that's one I would need some help on, and I'd be glad to put you in touch with Goodwill when we get to that point. Let's see, I wrote down housing complex, Gutenberg. Shopping center. So, you talked about employment. We've got some open spots along these shopping centers up there on Highway 66. And I think it's important that we try to work to fill them. The city's trying to improve the infrastructure in that area. That was part of the problem where Label Shoppers now, they had a business that wanted to locate in there. They didn't have the fire protection in that area. So didn't have enough water. It required a sprinkler system. That was part of that company's, dealings that they had to have. I don't know, their specs or their requirements. So we're actually getting ready to do a lot of work up there, and we discovered that there are some things that we can do to fix that. And that will be addressed, but that will help in the future if another developer comes by to get that. But there's several others. When you look in our comprehensive plan, it talks about some things like that. I hear people say they'd love to see another grocery store. I hear some people like to see other retail stores, clothing and et cetera. Those are all things that we need to try to work on as we do that. And then as far as, entertainment goes, we've got the former Perry County Memorial Hospital site.
City has that now?
City doesn't own it yet. It is actually in the Ramsell name, but it will go in the city's name once it's, torn down and cleaned up. The site does have to set vacant as part of that grant for 5 years. But as all of you know, if you're going to plan something to build there of any size, it's going to take 5 years to plan it, financing, et cetera. It's a great site. There's some people talk about amphitheater and then more housing. I'd love to have some public comments and maybe meetings to hear what they would like to see up there. I don't think you're going to see storage units, anything like that, but I want to see it be developed into a site that we all can enjoy and make the community better. And then also GE site. That's another large site that's going to be tore down. And I would say the near future, but probably a couple years still. They're still doing some remediation on the site. The only thing on that site, there will be restrictions where housing cannot be built there. So that's definitely out. But a lot of other things may be considered. And GE is going to cover the cost up to around $150,000 to $200,000 for a study for best use of site. But they're willing to cover that cost for that part. When we do that, I definitely want to have public meetings to get the neighbors' input and the public input, because ultimately they're the ones who's going to have to live by whatever's developed there. Either selling some of it off for private development to help increase our tax base. I think some of that's important, but also you got to look at the sports complex, which is right next to it. We could further expand into that, soccer. There's one part of the GE site that I'd love to see them leave. It's the kind of two steel A-frame structures closest to the creek as you go down Payne Street. I don't know if you're familiar and notice it, but you probably will. Those are great buildings, those two are. And if we want to do any type of indoor recreation with basketball, soccer, pickleball, whatever, those could be used for that. And that ties into the entertainment part of the and quality of life of the community. Zoning, as I said, the city's worked really hard with zoning. John, it's not really in on that, but when you report on there, we've done a bunch of rezoning that area, which all that property that I was showing, the first ones have been rezoned for residential before they were manufacturing. So any developer that wants to come in, that's one less hurdle. And that's some things that, that's what you guys could do. Those are some of the things, help identify those areas and let's get them rezoned so when the developer comes in, we're ready to go. GE site housing. And I mentioned a couple meetings ago, the city's is planning to go in for a owner-occupied rehab grant using Indiana 15 through Okra. I don't know if we'll get it. We've got some money set aside for the match for it, whatever that turns out to be. But applications are going to go in, I think, in November for some reason. And that was something that Tony Papano was really, really big on back when he was alive, going in and fixing up homes, which that improves quality of life, that improves neighborhood, that improves the values of these homes. They would go in and put a new roof or maybe some windows or insulation or a better bathroom, and would keep some people in their homes that, should be in their homes. And lastly, one thing, it's infrastructure related that Smokey kind of talked about is the bridge. I know this has nothing to do with redevelopment really. There's not what you can do, but that bridge is, it's not young. It's an older bridge. And right now it's in great shape. It's working. What happens in 10, 15 years from now? We really need to have a plan for either a replacement bridge at some point or something. Because if they would come in for some reason and close that bridge for structural issues or whatever, and don't think they won't. If they'll close the Sherman Mitten Bridge, they'll close that one and heartbeat wouldn't think twice about it. But that would kill our economy. You go to Walmart or anywhere up in here, half the cars are Hancock County, Owensboro, not Owensboro, but you know what I mean, Kentucky cars. We need to really try to keep an eye on that as the future is. It would hurt not just our people that, work over there and about vice versa. It wouldn't be pretty because they'd have to go all the way to Rockport, cross over to come back down. some people might get tired of that move, it could hurt us. So I know that's nothing to do with you guys necessarily, but it's something that just, the public's not really talked about it a whole lot. But the NSB houses, you can have those, the NSB, not the whole filter, but those are some things that we really want to try to focus on that I was hoping you guys could help with. I think Perry County is very unique. When I go to a lot of mayor's conferences, I was probably only one of two in the whole room, and Smokey wasn't there when they asked how many of you do not have a redevelopment commission. And most cities and towns have their own. But we work together really well here with this. And I'm thankful that you guys are willing to work with us and help us, because, you know, if it's working, then why do another one?
Well, and that's when, we looked at it from a county level, and all the cities are part of the county. It just so happens in Perry County, most of the population is kind of migrated to the south, if you will.
Yeah.
And part of that we know because of the government properties and such. So it is important, and I think it's important if we're going to keep advancing. And this was a conversation we had several years ago. If we quit growing, we're done, and we know this.
Yeah.
And part of it, is staying on top of what's going on, and a lot of it is this conversations today. We're not saying we can do a whole lot with it, but if we know, at least we know. And if Chris comes up with something that can help Smokey and vice versa, and Jane and Troy and the county, and I'll give you an example of how it worked really, really well. And we have to thank partially the city of Tell City. When we did the Forest Canton, they gave us $150,000 of money, and it's not even in the city, and probably won't be for some time, I'm assuming. But we're utilizing their sewer system, which ultimately they get some money off of, quite frankly.
We will eventually.
And also they get a lot of people here, so you have merchants, you have merchandise, so they understood that it would work. We were grateful for that, and we would have done it probably anyway, but it really helped us.
Well, the Redevelopment Commission also, maybe a year or so before I came into office, I think they gave $120,000
$130,000
for the pool, which is great. I mean, that pool is a huge asset.
It was 130.
It's a huge asset for the community, not just Tell City, the community as a whole. Even Hancock County people are over here using it, and it brings people to the community. We try to keep the price reasonable for most everybody could afford it. $5. It was that before we remodeled it. We kept it at $5. It's those quality of life things that's going to make a difference too.
What affects one of us here in this grouping along the river? It affects all of us.
It does.
And I can say whatever resources we have. And I
Mine
did
just died.
it for
You guys.
help to any and all.
What time is it again?
If we can share that, we make something good.
And that's what we're trying to get to. We're trying to get that opened up so we all know. And again, there's a lot of things we can't do as a redevelopment commission, but what we're hoping to do is at least compile some of this information and at least create a plan that's ours. Not go out and pay $150,000 or $50,000 for a plan that nobody reads. It's going to be a plan that we're going to try to make our own. That's part of the theory behind a lot of this. And I will say the commissioners and the council, if everybody on this commission wants to stay on, this is a really good group of people, and they really do a lot of good work.
I'll add on to what Chris said about the bridge from A. And I can tell you for a fact, and I know, that bridge is a state issue. I had 2 congressmen up there at the time, when it was still sprinkling its metal everywhere, trees were growing in it. State senators, in fact, were laughing. I was having lunch with one day, and he couldn't stop laughing at the tree growing out of that thing. And he crossed it every day to go to Louisville, and he's down down below Oklahoma, and that's when I really thought I might want to get on that. But trying to work through Congress and trying to find something to work with that bridge was going nowhere. But I've got to tell you, the state of Indiana and Mitch Daniels stepped up, and I got his assurance down at Wapaka when he come down to speak about those 160 jobs that first came after they had settled in here. I grabbed him by the hand and didn't let go of it until I got my point across to him about that bridge. and he had meet with his field manager, exchange some notes and phone numbers. 2-3 weeks later, his office calls me, because I figured that just blew me off, and said, we're working on this, we'll be back with you. They did another month later, and the word out of that office was, we'll have that bridge painted September 2014. It'll be done. They had it done, I think, in July. But they didn't. And it really was a state effort. If you want to look at that, just keep that in mind if you would. It really is what the state chooses.
Well, but it's gonna be, the biggest thing is, if even to get anything planned for, either keeping it, repairing it, the decking and painting, it's not let's just put in the budget next year and do it. It's a 10, 15-year, 20-year out, and we need to be starting that now for 20 years to make sure it's painted and kept up, because that's my biggest fear. I actually have a small folder, it's not a lot in it, because I hear ideas or read stuff about what they're doing to other bridges, try to put it in there. I mean, this is not just a Pendleton issue, this is a whole Tell City, Troy County, the whole county-wide. And there's nothing wrong with our bridge, don't anybody leave the meeting.
That was repainted just recently, wasn't it? In the last few years?
17, 18.
Has it been that long?
They finished it in 2014.
Did they? Okay, I can't remember when they finished painting it.
Yeah, they finished in 2014.
I just want to make sure I know it just happened now, but they
It
need
doesn't seem like it's been that long.
no, but they need to be planning out 10, 15 years to redo it again.
Who initiated that one?
Smokey
Yeah, I
You did?
Yeah, I
worked on that.
like I said, I went to the governor when he was up there, and his press secretary said, he'll take questions at the end of this speech. I was the first one to it, I wasn't gonna let him go. I want to talk to you about that bridge. Held on that little bitty hand for about 15 minutes until he agreed that we had something common here. And it was again our front door to the state. But the man held up to what he said he would do. But it was all done in-house. It was the state putting themselves forward. And my argument again was, listen, for the 20 minutes you and I stood here and talked, there's been $500,000 worth of work done around the city of Indianapolis.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, all of us a piece of that.
Sure. And one thing I know this board can help a lot with, are you all familiar with tax sales and how they work?
Somewhat.
So, they have people who don't pay their property taxes, they miss 3 consecutive installments and they'll sell a lien. And whoever buys that lien will hold that lien for a year. There's several legal obligations they have to do, notifications and so forth, and that's a process. So we just had a tax sale 2 weeks ago maybe, and bidders come from all across the country in some ways, some from Florida, some from just surrounding areas, and buy these liens. And they could either make interest or after that time frame, they'll own the property. What doesn't sell at the tax sale now? The county, cities, Troy, Pendleton, can actually request to the county commissioners for that certificate. And I think it's 180 days, maybe 90 days. I don't remember. It's a shorter time frame than that 1 year. And again, through the legal notifications and the hoops you have to jump through a little bit, the cities or the county in that case could obtain ownership of that property. The ones that don't sell are, they're bad ones. Okay, it's going to have a dilapidated house on it. It's going to maybe be a vacant piece of property of a burned down house. Who knows? I don't know. That might be something the Redevelopment Commission could do, is obtain these properties, clean them up, and then offer some of these houses as an incentive to rebuild them. Because most of these homes in the cities are already going to have their utilities there. So their water taps, sewer taps, that's a huge expense. So they're already on site. And you've got these plans that you could build these homes on. A home builder would be crazy not to want to buy that or sell it to them. Give it to them for $1 if they agree to build a house in a year. It's a win. But a good example of that is the city obtained, we call it the Lamar property. It's in the 200 block of 9th Street. It's an older home, late 1800s. The porch was all collapsing and falling in on it. The city was able to get that property. The owner had passed away, no heirs. They had a loan on it through a bank, which they never responded anything. We did the notifications, we got it. We donated the property to Indiana Landmarks. They went in and fixed the house exterior-wise, structurally, and painted it. It looks amazing compared to how it did look. Now they're all for sale for someone to come in and restore it and live in it. So those are some little small things that maybe you could do. I know of a few that didn't sell to sell. That's just vacant property, and maybe that's what we could do.
Thanks,
Do you have any questions for me? I've talked the whole time, I know, but
Anybody?
You brought these two maps, and these properties are all property of the port, correct?
Yeah.
That's correct, yes.
Okay, and then this one is the property of Goodwill.
Mhm.
This one is for sale.
Mhm.
Is these port properties available for housing? As we talked to Smokey, if it can be, if they're not of any use to the port, but can someone make an investment on them to bring tax base in, can it be sold as that?
I'm sure it could be, yeah. I mean, John's on the thing,
And I think that's been discussed.
It has been discussed, Tom.
yeah, they said that, not so many words.
Sure.
I heard that way. And we, at one time, when we was looking at this housing complex over here, there was another phase of it. They were gonna do like a townhome thing over here and cottage houses here, but they scaled it back just to focus on this one first. And this could be a phase 1 or 2 with that same developer, but that may be a few years. So if we can get another developer to come in here and just do that then, why not? I mean,
So basically, Tony, what has to happen is they have to be bid for sale.
yeah,
And, with the specifics of what you're looking for, just very similar to what we did when we did the apartment complex, 400 block of
Yeah.
7th Street.
I know there were some people in town this weekend for some hunting stuff. They couldn't get a motel room. I could not believe it.
That's another
it's
conversation.
another conversation. But it's good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you, Chris.
I appreciate it.
Jane?
Okay, well, I want to echo the sentiments of these two gentlemen. We need what they need, only on a smaller level. We're a town and not a city, so our options are kind of limited, but we're kind of sitting on a little gold mine down there. We've got the river with no flood wall. We've got one of the nicest docks. We've got 2 thoroughfares through there. We've got the railroad. I mean, there's so much potential. And I'm like Smokey, I'm not sure what our relationship, this is Adam's mine's second go around through this, so, but I'm just not sure what our relationship has been with you all in the past. So I don't know where to.
Well, I can say we've had very little communication. And shame on us. Okay? Which is why we're trying to do this too.
And I appreciate it.
I mean, when you look at this redevelopment commission, it was really developed and formatted, number one, to build this building. And then from there, it all kind of shifted really to Wapaka, right? I mean, David, that sound about right?
Yeah.
It was always kind of thought of as an industry kind of a board. So we could, because we have the ability to set up TIF districts. We can do that. And that's what a lot of them needed to get financing and that sort of thing. And that's really kind of where it was always been. I've been on it, Tony, you've been on how many years?
8.
8, and I think I've been on 6 or 7. And up until about 3 or 4 years ago, that's all we were doing. And it started to shift. We started to see the shift. So and I think it's a positive shift. They all may disagree with me, but I think it was a positive shift. So that's what we're trying to
Well,
accomplish.
and this is a good start.
So really, then that's like what Smokey and Chris brought is if you have things that you say, what, this is our big picture. If something like this comes around, you need to let us know that so that we can figure out too what's available from any of the resources that we have. Because we're not going to have all the resources, but there's some things that we can do as a commission. As an example, on the apartment complex that was built in the 400 block of 7th Street a year or so ago, the city actually owned that property. They ended up deeding it to us because we could finalize that for the developer. It would have been harder for them to do. So we became the conduit to get that done. So we set up the bids, we pushed the builder, we got the apartment complex built. So we can do that sort of thing. We're not a board that's flush with a lot of money that we can spend. And we're going to talk about that here in a little bit with some things that law changes that are coming up. There's a few things we can do, but we're not a taxing board. So we're kind of more of a information planning board is really what the county's kind of challenged us with now, is to help them plan going forward. And when they were negotiating with PCDC, part of that contract now says that they're working with us to work through them. So they've kind of shifted that for us also. So,
I appreciate the openness and the line of communication, so, I'll take this back to the board.
so really where you are, I mean, your big picture is really you've got I'm going to say the entertainment side, because you have the riverfront without the wall.
Exactly, and we've got one of the nicest boat docks in the county, in the boat ramp area, parking availability, and.
And the best fireworks.
That's-
I'll give you that. My goodness.
We're very proud.
You should be, that's
And
awesome.
really, I guess you're like Hamilton, you're kind of the conduit in terms of
On
road.
that
right?
end, yeah,
Yeah, on the,
on the west end.
Yep.
And from, 545 and 66, so.
When they go close.
and of course you do have,
That's it, there's-
Today,
is the, you can tell me, because I'm not sure, I guess it's technically the Tell City Industrial Park, is that actually in Troy or is that not in Troy?
it's in.
It's in Troy, okay. I thought it was, but I wasn't sure where the city limits ran,
We annexed,
which,
Bridge, we annexed.
which is also a plus. It's a plus. And I know there's some conversations on some things potentially even there, to see how that all works out.
We work with PCPC.
So is there anything else, any questions for Jane? Thank you all, thank you.
Thank you.
So our next plan is we're gonna try to do like a work session, probably in a month or so, and start kind of putting some of this down into a more refined work. And again, we're open, please let us know what you're seeing. We'll let you know what we know and try to work all that through the county council, county commission, who basically control the purse strings for most of us.
Okay, I'll send you the comp plan. I'll send you,
Send it to me and I'll forward it to them.
but I'll also send you all the blueprints for those homes that I've got. And I'll send you a list of the properties that did not sell, tax sale.
Okay.
If you guys want to research that further. You're not kicking by the homes, because these homes are like vacant.
Okay.
homes.
Okay. Well, thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
We have two other items left on our agenda, which hopefully will be relatively quick to get through. Item numbers, which I have 7 now, but if you remember when Baker Tilly was here, Jason mentioned that going forward, that we are required now to have a TIF spending plan. I kind of forgot about it. They sent me an email. It's due December 1st, before December the 1st. So in our October or November meeting, we're going to have to really kind of redefine the spending plans of each of our TIF districts. Do you want me to have Jason come down to help us with this, or do you want to try to muddle through it together? What do you all think? Jason comes down, he's going to charge us.
Can he not send us a guide?
I'm going to ask him for that.
Ask for a guide.
I'll ask for a
That
guy.
gives, if it's something so complicated, then yeah.
All I know is he told us to be as vague as possible. Okay, I do remember that in his comments. So I wanted to put it on this agenda because they just resent me this email here at the beginning of the month. So I will have, if he sends me a guide, I will forward it to everyone.
Yes, thank you.
And then plan in the October meeting to try to at least get a good start on it.
I think we need to at least attempt to do it ourselves.
Yeah, we can do that. If we
I'll ask him for a guide. Okay.
You're a bean counter.
Okay. The last thing I have is we did get a request through Wapaka, through the county, which is actually, I think it's a county road there going into Wapaka. It's been kind of the big controversy, who owns it, who wants to do anything with it. They were requesting that it gets striped as you get into Webb Wheel. Personally, I think it's a good idea. I will tell you, I kind of weighed back, is it our responsibility or is it the county's? We got the money, I guess, kind of why we probably got the call,
Has anybody got a price on it yet?
about $1,000.
How much?
$1,000.
Oh,
Paint it. Take
So
it out of
what I would
court.
recommend, I'll say my recommendation.
Come out of where? Come out of where?
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I
And
would,
you got a price already.
so
I thought you were talking about.
So my comment was, whoever did the cities, we don't want them. You saw the one by the high school?
They're waving.
Wavy, it's like all over the street, Wavy, yeah.
I don't know what happened.
So I was told that wasn't gonna happen. So I will need a motion for that expense.
I'll make the motion to find
I'll second.
out of the
Second.
web wheel.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The plan is to have it done yet this fall, from what I understand. I thought about the compromise to tell the county that they also have to make sure they keep the snow off it, but I didn't go there. I will say that publicly. Yeah, the county needs to get the snow off it. David, did you hear that?
Yeah. I ignored it.
Huh? That's been a controversy too. That's all I've got.
You need a motion for adjournment? You really don't. But
You're correct.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you all.
Turn that off.